In this video, we will show you how to use the purchase reconciliation and sale reconciliation functions in Leap Conveyancer. For New South Wales and Victorian conveyancers, the purchase and sale reconciliation functions enable you to double-check settlement figures and enter all checks required for settlement. Once check details are entered, the information can then be merged into multiple letters or faxes, as well as into your settlement instructions, ensuring consistency of settlement information across all documents. To complete a purchase reconciliation, you will first need to have drawn up the Statement of Adjustments or Settlement Adjustment Sheet. The Purchase Reconciliation table is located in the Matter Details and Correspondence tab of any purchase matter. Double-click the row to open. In the Purchase Reconciliation window, you can begin to enter the data by clicking on either New Transaction or by double-clicking an empty row in the table. In the Purchase Reconciliation window, click New Transaction. The first item to enter is the amount due on settlement. This amount should be taken from your Statement of Adjustments or Settlement Adjustment Sheet, where it may also be known as the balance due to the vendor. Click the Amount Due on Settlement tab and enter the amount. Click in the description box to bring up a list of possible descriptions. Double-click the correct description and click OK. You should now see the amount included in the table. Again, click New Transaction or double-click the next blank line to enter the next item. On a purchase matter, you should now enter your costs as they are an additional amount over and above the amount due on settlement. You can choose to enter the costs and disbursements separately, as well as defining the GST for each. However, you may find it easier to simply enter the total cost of your invoice in the Costs tab. In the Purchase Reconciliation window, click New Transaction. Click the Costs tab and enter the amount. Click in the description box to bring up a list of possible descriptions. Double-click the correct description and click OK. Again, click in the description box. Choose the correct option and click OK. You should now enter any additional amounts that are needed to be provided at settlement, either in the Bank Fees and Charges tab or in the Miscellaneous Debits tabs. For example, there is an option for stamp duty in the Miscellaneous Debits tab. Once you have entered the necessary amounts, you will have a total amount needed to effect settlement, as shown at the bottom of the debit column. You can now start to enter the breakdown of checks required at settlement. Again, click New Transaction and then click on the Checks tab. Fill in the correct amount and payee details. Choose whether the check is required to be a bank check or not. Specify whether the check is to be drawn by the bank, client, or from trust. Specify if the check will already have been paid prior to settlement. Lastly, whether you or your settlement agent will be taking the check away after settlement. Once the details are filled in, click OK. The check will now be listed in the table in the Credit column. The table will show a running total of the credit column, as well as the remaining amount to be allocated, the out-of-balance figure. Click on New Transaction and repeat the steps for each subsequent check required. In the example, the check due to the vendor has been split into two, as the bank doesn't have enough funds to draw a check for the full amount. A check for the balance is being provided by the client, and so has been entered separately. Once all checks have been entered, the totals of both columns should match, and the out-of-balance amount will be zero. Now that the reconciliation is complete, you can print the table and provide it to your client if required. The information entered into the purchase reconciliation can now be used in a variety of documents in Leap Conveyancer. There is a direction to pay to mortgagee, which will provide the check details to the bank. Only those checks marked as being drawn by the bank will appear on this document. There is a letter to your client enclosing adjustments and requesting checks if required. There are also settlement instructions, which will fill out with all the various checks and whether or not they are to be collected at settlement. The Sale Reconciliation table is located in the Matter Details and Correspondence tab of any sale matter. Double-click the row to open. In the Sale Reconciliation window, you can begin to enter the data by clicking on either New Transaction or by double-clicking an empty row in the table. The process of completing a sale reconciliation is very similar to the purchase reconciliation. However, there are some slight differences. For example, you do not need to enter your costs as a separate item. You merely need to draw draw a cheque to your firm. You also do not need to note who is drawing each cheque. Again, once the sale reconciliation is complete, there are several LEAP conveyancer documents which can be utilised. There is a fax or letter to the purchaser's solicitor providing the breakdown of cheques and also settlement instructions. This concludes how to use the purchase reconciliation and sale reconciliation functions in LEAP Conveyancer.